Okay, I would like to review this book titled World Champion Chess for Juniors: Learn from the Greatest Players Ever by Joel Benjamin. Uh, it's really a beautiful book because it has the goal to show you all the world champions in a little chapter with some other games. And let me show you here. These are the chapters, okay? The Greatest Showman, Paul Morphy, The Scientist, Steinitz, The Pragmatist, Lasker, etc., etc. In the book, there are something like 100 games to show all these champions, and at the end, you will also have some uh, some exercise from their games. Okay, so you also have exercise. That's really great. But the games are often kind of well analyzed in the critical moment. The critical moment is clearly shown well. There is a deep analysis. I like this book because it shows that young players can learn about world champions and be acquainted with the games. That should be the goal. Now, I would like to show you a couple of games. One is from the chapter 2 about Steinitz, the champion number one, the one that started it all. And it is game 8, Rui Lopez, William Steinitz against Mikhail Chigorin in their Havana World Match in 1892. This was the fourth game. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, bishop B5, knight F6, D3. With the rise of the Berlin endgame, this move has become very popular in the 24th century. G6, C3, bishop G7, knight BD2, castle, knight F1. Obviously, when we see this is why it's important to get books like this one, because we see a lot of maneuvers that maybe we will not understand, but at least we start to get familiar with the pieces, where they go, and so you know that when you go from here to here, maybe it goes here, if you can jump here, or you can go here once he has developed this. So you get to learn more about chess watching games from books where the author give you some tips from time to time and show you when it's important to pause and understand what's going on. Okay? B6, bishop A4. Steinitz is waiting to see how black will handle this, but also values the bishop and wants to avoid trailing it. Knight B7, knight E3, knight C5. You see that Steinitz, in fact, is avoiding to give away the bishop there, because two bishops together are really, really powerful. Bishop C2, knight E6. So look, he wanted to try to control this and get also an outpost on this to attack, right? H4. And here there is a diagram. We see why Steinitz hasn't castled yet. The threat is stronger than the execution was not yet in vogue at the time, but apply it here. Chigorin's reaction just makes the attack stronger. Knight E7, and this move is dubious. Okay? Chigorin allows white to open lines without a fight after 11 H5. It's even clear how Steinitz could have got that done. So practically the author said this move not good. It's better to play this and ask Steinitz how he would have been able to continue his attack. Okay, so after knight e7, obviously, white continues with an attack, h5. And what do you do? This is also because you read the book, and this book gives you some ideas. It says, for example, yes, the classical central reaction, d5, to a wing attack. This is the wing, and the counter attack comes in the center. However, the author says maybe this move, c6, would have been better and would have supported the attack better than just d5 right away. Take g6, f g6. Now black will be vulnerable on the a2 g8 diagonal. a2 g8 diagonal. Okay? As well as the h5. h5. On h takes g6, white has the option. So he says, if instead of taking with the pawn f, we would have taken with this, here there is a line which show how white would have entered a comfortable endgame. But the game continued with e takes d5. So why it was important to have c6? Because it would have taken back with the pawn, and so it's a little less vulnerable. Okay, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, king takes d5. Boom, bishop b3. Everybody on the diagonal. King c6. Otherwise, the next move would have been knight g5. Okay, and king e2. At this point, you already know that white will castle on this side, okay? Because he wants to attack on that. Bishop d7, bishop e8, king h8. Obviously, at a certain point, you need to remove the king from the diagonal. Castle. Rook e8. Now, this is also a point. Try to pause the video and see what you would do and why. If you have paused the video and try to guess the next white move, now I will tell you what is the next white move, and that's why you learn from a chess book, because Steiners played king f1, but the best one would have been king d2. In any case, the point is to remove the queen from this, because the rook is kind of making a X-ray attack, so he's pointing at the queen. So generally that's what you do, okay? a5, obviously now black wants to attack where there is the king. H doesn't see what's coming. It would have been better, it seems, to make h5. But d4, he takes d4, knight takes d4. And now try to guess for black what you would have played. I just want to tell you one thing. I want you to analyze the situation after this. This move is a blunder. Please try to find out why. What would have the white played if black would have played this move? Okay? The correct move, it seems, is bishop takes d4. This doesn't mean that black is not losing, but at least this is the thing. And now, what would you continue with as white? Okay, if you were white, what would you play? White played Rook takes d4. Obviously, the move bishop takes d4 is not good. Why? Get the book and you will discover it, because there is a line which explains it. Knight takes d4 is also a mistake. The correct move at this point, believe it or not, was something like rook f7. And what would you play if you were white? Because at this point there is a diagram, and it's very interesting to see how white finished the game. Just at this point, white is already finishing the game. Try to pause with it. Okay, white continue with rook takes h7, king takes h7, queen h1, king g7, bishop h6, king f6, queen h4, king e5, otherwise there is a mate in one, and now is queen takes d4, and black resign, because after king f5, how do you think white continues? After that move, there is a checkmate. Okay, so after this, there is checkmate. You cannot go here because of this, okay? And all these squares are controlled by the queen. I also would like to show you another game from this book that is really beautiful. It's game 48, Boris Spassky versus Mikhail Tal. It's a very fast game. Okay, so this is the game, Boris Spassky versus Mikhail Tal. It was played in Montreal, 1979. Notice the difference of opening. Practically in 1979, they use a closed opening. Generally, d4 is a closed opening, and e4 generally tends to have open games. So d4, yet this game will be finished in just 22 moves. That's amazing, right? c4, e6, knight f3, b6, e3, bishop b7. This is called the Queen's Indian defense. Bishop b3, d5, b3, bishop b6, castle, castle, bishop b2, knight b7, knight b2, queen e7, rook c1, rook a d8, king c2. Notice again how they remove always the queen from where there is a rook, because surprises do happen. c5, c takes d5, e takes d5, d takes c5, d takes c5, and queen c3. Okay, practically, Spassky is aiming to give checkmate here. Spassky employs a strategy similar to the game Nintsovich-Tarrasch, using a battery on the long diagonal to keep black from attacking. And obviously, maybe here there is, I don't know if this game is mentioned in this book, maybe one should try to find it, okay? Because it's a good example to know. Rook f e8, obviously the rook belongs to open or semi-open files. Rook f d1, and d4. Of course, Spassky is daring Tal to play this move. He goes for it without coming to any definitive conclusion. Tal's got to be Tal. Tal was a very tactic champion. He was really creating beautiful tactical games, and everybody loved him for that. He takes before, he takes before, and now it's interesting. That's the important part of having a book. The author finds for you what is the critical moment and analyzes deeply, deeply. Here there are practically nearly one entire page of analysis in this position. Why? Because white plays this move, queen a5, which is a mistake. So your turn would be to try to make your own analysis on this position as white, and then discover when you have the book what was wrong with your analysis or what was right, because that would actually make you improve. Okay. If you want, I can give you one more. Also, this move is not the right move. So also this move is analyzed. Now, during the game, since this was a long time control game, two players surely went deep at this point. And yet, Osip Spassky in 1979 was already being world champion, because he was world champion from like 1969 to 1972, while Stahl was world champion in the 1950s, if I remember, or 1961. Um, both of them clearly top of the world, yet it was difficult to find the right move for them. Now I will continue in a5, knight e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, and knight c4. Moving the piece away from the king does not inspire confidence, but the attack grows after knight f1, knight h5, bishop a3, and queen e6. Okay, so instead of going here, it should have gone here, but again, the attack would have continued. Rook d5. Obviously, you want to bring the rooks up because then you can bring them in other parts of the board. King d2. Tal was looking forward to the more stylish finish with after this move, practically. Bishop f3. I will not give you the line, but if you get the book, you will see it, because it's a line that is about 5 or 6 moves long, and it ends up in a checkmate. Bishop takes h2. Did you see this one? King takes h2. Rook h5. King g1. And knight g4 ends up the game. Here, white resign. Why do you think white resign? Well, the reason is the following. Here I will give you a line, okay? Is rook e1, check, date, check. Now the problem is that this rook is controlling a possible escape route of the king. That's why the game is ending practically. King g1, queen h2, and the next move is made. Okay? Thank you very much. I hope you will enjoy this book. Once more, World Champion Chess for Juniors. Learn from the greatest players ever.